What would you do if everything that once gave your life meaning suddenly disappeared? Not slowly, not gradually, but all at once. Your purpose, your identity, the path you thought you were meant to follow, gone. Because this is the reality most people never prepare for. They build their lives on things that can be taken away: a career, a relationship, a role, a title. And when those things collapse, they don't just lose direction, they lose themselves. Now here's the truth no one tells you. Over 380 years ago, a dying warrior named Miyamoto Musashi wrote down 21 final principles. Not for success, not for happiness, but for something far more dangerous: freedom. These were not gentle teachings. They were brutal, unforgiving, and for most people, impossible to live by, because they demand one thing above all else: that you stop relying on the world to give your life meaning and start walking your path alone. In this video, you're going to follow the story of a man who had nothing left to lose, a masterless warrior standing at the edge of death, who chose not to die, but to rebuild himself from nothing using these 21 principles. And here's the question you need to ask yourself right now. Are you strong enough to let go of everything you think you need, to discover who you actually are? If you are, comment 1 below, because what you're about to hear will challenge everything you believe about purpose, control, and what it truly means to be unbreakable. Chapter 1. The Collapse. Renji knelt in the dirt outside a dark mountain cave, waiting to die. He was 26 years old, a samurai with no master, no clan, no purpose. 3 years earlier, everything had ended. His lord was killed in battle. His brothers either followed him into death or scattered across the country, desperately searching for someone new to serve. Renji did neither. He walked away. At first, he told himself it was strength, independence, freedom. But over time, the truth became impossible to ignore. He wasn't free. He was empty. Each day blurred into the next, guarding merchants, fighting bandits, sleeping wherever he could, living without direction, a sword with no one to wield it. And slowly, something inside him began to rot, not his body, his spirit, until one day he made a decision. If he could not find a reason to live, he would choose how to die. That's what brought him here, to the cave of a dying legend. A man whose name had echoed across Japan for decades. Miyamoto Musashi. Renji had heard the stories. 60 duels, undefeated, untouchable. If anyone deserved to end his life, it was him. So he waited. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, without food, barely any water, kneeling in silence, not begging, not moving, just waiting for death to come, with honor. And then, as the sun disappeared behind the mountains, a voice came from inside the cave. You may enter. Weak, calm, certain. Renji stood slowly. His legs trembled, but not from fear, from the weight of what he was about to lose, or perhaps what he was about to find. Chapter 2. The Choice. The cave was smaller than Renji expected. No grand temple, no symbols of power, just stone walls, a flickering oil lamp, and a man sitting in silence. Miyamoto Musashi looked nothing like the legend Renji had imagined. His body was thin, his breathing uneven. A cloth stained with blood rested beside him, but his eyes, they were still sharp, still watching everything. You came to ask me to kill you, Musashi said. Not a question. Renji lowered his head. Yes. Why? The answer came easily, too easily. I have no purpose, no master, no path. Living like this is meaningless. For a long moment, Musashi said nothing. Then he coughed, a deep, wet sound. Blood touched his lips, but he didn't react. I am dying, he said calmly. Soon, Renji felt something crack inside his chest. Even this, his final escape, was gone. But before I die, Musashi continued, I am writing something. He gestured to a scroll beside him. Ink still fresh. 21 principles. The essence of everything I've learned. Renji looked at it, confused. What does that have to do with me? Musashi's gaze hardened slightly. Everything. Silence filled the cave. Then the old master spoke again. If you still wish to die, I will not stop you. A pause. But if you wish to live, truly live, without needing a master, without depending on the world to tell you who you are. He leaned forward slightly. Then stay. Renji's breath caught. Stay, and I will test you. Test me? Not with words, with life. Musashi dipped his brush into ink and began to write. Each principle will break you, he said quietly. And if it doesn't, the brush stopped. You will become unbreakable. Renji stared at the scroll, at the man, at the thin line between death and something he couldn't yet understand. Then slowly, he knelt. I'll stay. Musashi nodded once. Good. He turned the scroll toward Renji. The first principle, ink bled into paper. Accept everything exactly as it is. Renji frowned slightly. That's it? Musashi looked directly into his eyes. That is where most men fail. Chapter 3. The first principle. Renji didn't sleep that night. He sat in the corner of the cave, watching the old master write. Each brushstroke slow, deliberate, as if every word carried the weight of a lifetime. Accept everything exactly as it is. The sentence echoed in his mind. Simple, almost insulting. Accept what? Accept how? He had lost everything. His lord, his purpose, his place in the world. And this was the answer? At dawn, Miyamoto Musashi handed him a small wooden token. You leave now, he said. No food, no money, only your swords. Renji took the token, confused. For how long? 7 days. And what do I do? Musashi's eyes didn't move. You accept. Renji frowned. That's not an answer. It's the only answer. A pause. No complaints. No resistance. No wishing things were different. Whatever happens, you accept it fully. Renji stepped outside the cave, the cold air hitting his face. It didn't feel like a test. It felt like punishment. By midday, the first challenge came. 5 bandits stepped onto the road, blocking his path. Drop your swords, the leader said. Old Renji would have reacted instantly. Anger, pride, violence. But now, the words returned. Accept everything exactly as it is. This moment existed. These men existed. Their demand existed. Fighting reality wouldn't change it. Renji looked at them calmly. I have no money, he said. And these swords are all I own. The bandits stepped closer. Then you'll lose them. Renji nodded slightly. If that's what happens, I accept it. Silence. Something shifted. Not fear. Not submission. Something else. Stillness. The leader studied him, uneasy. This wasn't a man begging for his life. This was a man already at peace with losing it. After a moment, the leader stepped back. Move. Renji walked past them without another word. No victory, no pride, just movement. That night, sitting alone under the open sky, he finally understood something. Acceptance wasn't weakness. It wasn't giving up. It was seeing reality clearly, without the noise of ego, fear, or resistance. And for the first time in years, his mind was quiet. Chapter 4. The second and third laws. By the second day, Renji believed he understood the first principle. Acceptance brought silence, clarity, control, but he was wrong, because acceptance was only the beginning. That evening, a merchant offered him shelter, warm food, a dry place to sleep, safety. After days on the road, his body immediately reacted. Hunger sharpened, fatigue settled into his bones. He sat at the table as plates of rich food were placed in front of him. Steaming rice, grilled fish, sake poured without asking. And then, he remembered. The second principle, do not seek pleasure for its own sake. Renji started at the food. His body wanted more, his senses leaned toward it. But for the first time, he watched the desire instead of obeying it. He ate slowly, just enough to sustain himself. When the merchant insisted he drink more, he declined. When comfort invited him to stay longer, he refused, because he saw something clearly now. Pleasure wasn't the problem. Dependence on it was. Later that night, another test arrived. The merchant's daughter approached him quietly, her voice soft, her presence intentional. Loneliness, buried deep within him, surfaced instantly. The desire wasn't just physical, it was deeper. Connection, warmth, escape from isolation. And that's when the third principle appeared. Do not depend on partial feelings. Renji closed his eyes for a moment. What he felt was real, but it wasn't complete. It was one part of him speaking louder than the rest. If he followed it blindly, he would betray something deeper. So he opened his eyes and spoke calmly. "I'm grateful," he said, "but I'm not staying." Confusion crossed her face. Then silence. She left. Renji remained alone, not because he rejected life, but because he refused to be controlled by fragments of it. That night, lying on the wooden floor, he felt something shift inside him. For years, he had believed strength meant resisting the world, fighting it, controlling it, dominating it. But now he saw the truth. Weakness wasn't in feeling desire. Weakness was being led by it. And for the first time, he was no longer being pulled in different directions. He was becoming whole. Chapter 5. The Death of the Self. By the fourth day, something inside Renji began to change. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but quietly, like a voice that had finally stopped speaking. He entered a small coastal village and offered his help to anyone who needed it. No payment, no recognition, no expectation. An old woman asked him to repair her roof. He worked for hours under the sun, hands raw, body aching. When she thanked him, he felt it. That subtle pull. I did something good. I matter. I am valuable. And immediately, he saw it. The fourth principle. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. Renji paused. The work wasn't about him. It was never about him. It was about the roof, the woman, the moment. So he let the thought go. No pride, no identity attached to the action. Just action. The next day, he helped fishermen pull heavy nets from the sea. The work was brutal. Salt burned his skin. Muscles screamed for rest. But something strange happened. When he stopped thinking about himself, the pain became lighter. Not gone, but no longer heavy, because suffering wasn't coming from the work. It was coming from the voice saying, "This is hard. This is unfair. This shouldn't be happening." And without that voice, there was only movement, only effort, only reality. That night, sitting by the ocean, Renji faced the next principle. Do not regret what you have done. Memories surfaced. Choices he questioned. Paths he abandoned. Things he wished he had done differently. For years those thoughts had followed him like shadows. But now, he looked at them differently. Each decision had been made with the mind he had at the time. Right or wrong. It didn't matter anymore. The past was finished. Regret didn't change it. It only chained him to it. So one by one, he let them go. Not by force, but by understanding. And as the waves moved in and out under the night sky, Renji felt something he hadn't felt in years. Not happiness, not pride, but something far more powerful. Lightness. For the first time, he was no longer carrying himself. Chapter 6. The Chains of Attachment. On the fifth day, Renji returned to the lands he once called home. Nothing had changed. And yet, everything was different. The banners were new, the voices unfamiliar, the people still living the life he had lost. And that's when it began. The next set of principles. Do not be jealous. Do not grieve over separation. Do not hold resentment or complaint. Do not be guided by love or desire. Renji saw his former comrades training in the courtyard. Stronger, sharper, respected. A quiet voice rose inside him. That should have been you. Jealousy. It came fast, instinctive. But this time, he didn't follow it. He observed it. Jealousy wasn't about them. It was about his attachment to a life that no longer existed. So he let it pass, like a cloud, moving across a sky that no longer resisted. Later he saw her, the woman he once thought he would marry, standing beside another man, laughing, alive, at peace. For a moment, something inside him tightened. Not anger, not envy, just loss. Do not grieve over separation. He stood there, feeling it fully, not pushing it away, not clinging to it, just allowing it to exist, because separation wasn't a mistake. It was part of life. People came, people left. Nothing was meant to stay, and holding on to what was gone only created suffering. That night, in a crowded room filled with voices from his past, the final test came. 3 former samurai confronted him. You left, one said. We stayed. We endured. We adapted. The words carried judgment, resentment. Renji felt the urge to respond, to defend, to explain, to justify. But he didn't, because he saw it clearly. Resentment didn't belong to them, or to him. It was just another chain, another attempt to hold on to something already gone. You chose your path, Renji said calmly. I chose mine. No anger, no pride, just truth. Silence followed, and for the first time, he wasn't trying to be understood. He was simply free. Free from comparison, free from attachment, free from needing the past to validate his present. And in that freedom, Renji realized something most never do. The world doesn't bind you, your attachments do. Chapter 7. Letting go of everything. When Renji returned to the cave, the old master was weaker. His breath was shallow, his body almost gone. But his eyes were still there, watching, measuring. You've seen the world, Miyamoto Musashi whispered. Now you must release it. He pointed to the next principles. Have no preferences. Be indifferent to where you live. Do not pursue fine food. Do not cling to possessions. Renji listened in silence. These were not ideas. They were erasures. What must I do? He asked. Lose everything, Musashi replied. The next morning, Renji gave away what little he had. An extra piece of clothing. Gone. A small charm from his past. Gone. Even the wooden practice sword he once trained with. He burned it. Not because it was useless, but because he was still attached to it. And attachment was weakness. With nothing left but his blades and the clothes on his back, he walked into the mountains. Day after day, he lived with almost nothing. Cold nights, bitter roots, empty stomach. Some places were comfortable, most were not. But slowly, something changed. Comfort and discomfort stopped meaning anything. Food was just fuel. Shelter was just space. Location was just ground beneath his feet. There was no better, no worse. Only what was. One night, a storm tore through the mountains. Rain cut through his clothes. Wind shook the trees around him. His body trembled, but his mind was still, because he no longer expected anything different. And without expectation, there was no suffering, only experience. By the time the storm passed, Renji understood something most people never will. You don't become strong by gaining more. You become unbreakable by needing less. And when you reach that point, the world has nothing left to take from you. Final chapter. The Way of the Unbreakable. Renji returned to the cave one last time. The air was still. The lamp had burned low, and Miyamoto Musashi was gone. No final speech, no dramatic ending, just silence. And a completed scroll. 21 principles. Not instructions for success, not a path to comfort, but a way to live, without needing either. Years passed. Renji walked alone, not lost, not searching, just walking. He protected villages, then left without waiting for thanks. He trained those who asked, then disappeared before they could depend on him. He owned nothing, he expected nothing, and slowly, people began to notice something strange about him. He was not strong in the way warriors usually are. He didn't dominate, he didn't boast, he didn't prove anything, but nothing could shake him. Not loss, not pain, not uncertainty, because he had already faced the one thing most people spend their entire lives avoiding. The truth, that everything can be taken, and that you must still stand. One day, a young man approached him, desperate, lost, empty, just like Renji once was. Teach me, the boy said. Renji looked at him quietly, then asked a simple question. Are you willing to lose everything to find yourself? The boy hesitated. That was always the moment where most people turn back, because they don't actually want freedom. They want comfort, without fear. But the path doesn't offer that. It offers something far more valuable. Clarity, strength, freedom from everything that once controlled you. Renji picked up a stick and drew a single word in the dirt. Accept. He looked at the boy. That's where it begins. Pause. And if you don't walk away, that's where everything changes. So now the question is not about Renji, or Musashi, or the past. It's about you. Are you ready to stop running? To stop waiting? To stop depending on things that were never meant to last? If you are, comment. Yes, because the path is still here. It always has been, and it begins the moment you decide to walk it alone. Always be present, walk with honor, and follow your path.